Hi everybody, so excited to be here. This is our book club. Woohoo! So this month we read the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and I was introduced to this book, I want to say in 2009. I went to the ICD conference, which is the Institute for Challenge and Disorganization in LA, and I was fairly new to organizing at the time, and some of my colleagues, I went out to lunch with a whole bunch of a group of people that I did not know at the time. They since have become some of the most amazing people that I love to hang out with. But they were talking about this book. And so I left conference thinking like I should read that book. But of course, I was so overwhelmed by all the things that I was trying to learn with my new business that I did not read the book. And I think it was maybe about like 4 or 5 years ago where somebody said, "Oh, that's such a great book, you should read it." And I finally picked up the book, and it was transformational in a lot of different ways. I always try to bring things back to organizing because that's our, that's our lane, that's our home plate, and that's where we go. So I think the way this book can be helpful is that when you understand how you motivate your loved ones, or how they feel good about things, or what is it that's going to take for them to be on board with some of your organizing projects, it's good to understand their love language. So the premise of the book is that there are basically 5 love languages, and they are words of affirmation, self-explanatory, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. There is a quiz that you can take. We're going to put a link to it in the report and also in the newsletter, so you can, if you want to know what your love language is without having to read the entire book, you can still find out. It rates all of the love languages for you, and we all tend to be a bit dominant on one love language, so we'll tell you what your predominant one is, but clearly we all have multiple love languages. During our team meeting, I asked who doesn't love words of affirmation, and somebody on the team said, "I don't really need any words of affirmation, that is not my love language." So I think it's always good to know how, when you're interacting with people, how to make them feel good, right? Because when you're making people feel good, they'll be much more likely to be on board. My personal love language, this is really, I was afraid of like putting this out into the world, but I said, what the hell? Why the heck not, right? I'm just gonna tell you, my love language is acts of service, and I feel really good when somebody does something for me. It makes me feel like they really love me. And my husband is actually really sweet. Recently I said, we need a new doorbell, and he gave me one, and I came home and I was super excited about the doorbell. So he kind of know that doing those little things make me super happy. So one thing that I think it's interesting to apply this book is with kids. So there are several versions of it. This is clearly the one for relationships, and I made my team read this one because I think we can all have better relationships with our loved ones, and when you have better relationships with some people, I think it transpires with all people, right? So you can't go wrong on that. But there are different versions of it. There's love language for children and kids and teenagers and business. If you're interested in finding out more specifically, there's a whole other bunch of books to read. So there's just one more thing that I feel like it's important to mention, just in case you're trying to apply some of this book to your family to get them motivated to help you stay organized. And one thing that we all talked about is that sometimes we give love in the way we think people want to be loved more than the way they actually want to be loved, or the way we want to be loved ourselves, right? And the one interesting thing was, I speak personally about myself. So my main dominant love language is acts of service. And the love language that I give the most is words of affirmation, which is really interesting to me, because that's why I said who doesn't like, words of affirmation? And that was totally not the truth of a group of 11 of us that were hanging out together. So it is important to understand your love language. It's important to understand how you motivate others in your family with their love language. But it's also important to figure out what love language you may be giving to people and how that may be motivating them back to, be cooperative, especially when you're talking about organizing. We hear from clients all the time. I think a couple of book clubs ago, I talked about the one person that had called me and she was looking for a husbandly friendly, system. And the truth is that I think in order to get some of these systems, they are friendly to people, right? There are a lot of different components that you have to keep in mind. One is, how does it apply for their brain-based, right? Are you a person with ADHD that have a hard time remembering, that has a hard time with focus, maybe doesn't like multiple steps? How are you simplifying the system for them? Two, does it, is this something that it's like, does it go with their motivation? How are they motivated? Are you yelling at them about not following the system when their love language is words of affirmation? Are they, an acts of service person and they would be glad to abide and follow the system that you gave them if it was simpler for them to use it? So I would highly recommend this book, and there may be other applications you may find while you're reading the book that we would love to hear about it. You're welcome to leave a comment below. We come back and respond to everybody. Once again, thanks for hanging with us. This was our Organizing Maniacs book club, and we talked about the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman. I hope you got some benefit from hanging out with us today. And if you have already read the book and you're using it in some way that you find is significant to organizing, please share it with us, either at organizingmaniacs.com on our blog or on our Facebook group, which is Organizing Maniacs, or just send us an email. Anyway, we hope that your love language will help you be more organized with others around you. Anyway, have an awesome day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.